when I left Foreign Affairs and my secondment with Department of Communications and the Arts, I resigned from the public service and went into private consulting with Peter Dawson. Towards the end of that year, I got a phone call from my friend Lynn Lee to say that UNHCR, that's the refugee organisation of the UN, was looking for someone to go to Kosovo, and they wanted someone who understood the UN system, who had worked on gender issues and who had experience in social science research. So Lynn said, look, you fit these categories. I've recommended you because I saw it in a particular magazine, and so why don't you go ahead and apply for it, which I did. On Boxing Day to 1994, I had this phone call from Kosovo, from UNHCR, from a young woman who was the head of that section of UNHCR. And she asked me what I had done in these three categories, and I finished up saying to her, Maureen, you're talking as if I've already got the job. And she said, yes, well, I think you have. So when can you come? And I said, sometime in January. So she said, well, you go ahead and make the arrangements, and we'll follow up with the contract. And so, well, getting to Kosovo, I went to London, then to Vienna, and then to Macedonia, and I was met in Macedonia by a UN car which drove me to Kosovo, to Pristina. Maureen said that they wanted some basic research done because in the war with the Serbs, all the kind of records, social and economic and political records, had been destroyed. And she wanted me to go to various centres around the small country of Kosovo and conduct interviews with women and separate interviews with men. And that the office would organise the meetings and get the representatives of the community to be there in attendance. And so I had this crash course in Kosovo society and in a view of the little country that had been devastated in the war. In the travel around the countryside, you would see mass graves marked where assassinations had been taken place. It was a bit grim, but it was easy to come back and with the team, which consisted of a deputy for me, who was an American woman who had hoped to get the job, and two translators, one of whom was associated with Sudi, the deputy, my deputy, and who had spent the refugee years in England, and the other, who was assigned to me, who had been a refugee in Australia. So that was quite congenial, and we finished up writing virtually a handbook on current Kosovo, covering society, education, health, living conditions, job availability for women, and so on. And we finished up with recommendations in those areas, of which I believe that education for women and girls was to be a major priority. It was all right for urban women and urban girls to go to school, but in the countryside, which was extremely conservative, girls, by the time they reached puberty, were not allowed to go to school anymore. And one could understand it, because they had to walk to school, and they would be passing pre-revolution Serbian military camps, where they would be heckled and harassed and so on. No wonder the parents were unwilling to send their girls to school. But I've known situations before, including in Australia, where the state has given local areas buses to pick up boys and girls and take them to the nearest school. So to come up with solutions wasn't as hard as one might have expected.